Welcome back to Alibaba.com. Jeff Kraft here on the catwalk, on the runway. You know, we've chatted with some key influencers. We've chatted with suppliers. We've heard a lot of great stories, but now it's time to chat with an Alibaba buyer, an Alibaba user, and that would be Cal Whitaker. Cal, good to have you up here.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting here at Magic this year, and you are no stranger to fashion. You're no stranger to Alibaba. Let's talk about Magic, what your experience has been so far this year.
It's been phenomenal. You know, a lot of new faces, a lot of new suppliers, and a lot of new products. One thing that people have to understand that, you know, what you came to see last year is going to be completely different next year, because it's constantly moving.
It's interesting how that is. I mean, that could be said in the consumer electronics industry, but apparel, even in apparel, that just blows me away, the transition, how fast it's growing because of technology.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about fast fashion, you know, it was pioneered by technology.
Yeah.
You know, making things quicker and getting it to the consumer.
Your experience with Alibaba runs deep. Like I said at the top, you are no stranger to it. Talk about your experience with Alibaba to where it was to where it is now, because it is growing. It has to grow in order to stay on top, in order to be that platform, not only America, US, but worldwide, people trust.
Right, so, you know, Alibaba really started at more just, you know, the business owner, just focusing on that B2B transaction. And I see that they've noticed that business person is also that consumer.
Yeah.
And they're starting to address that, and also address those cultural differences.
Yeah.
You know, what they, you know, in China, what they think about business, we think a little differently about that. And so Alibaba is learning how to adapt and accommodate for that.
Yeah.
And that's causing massive growth, because people now are no longer intimidated by it.
And it's interesting, I mean, you said that the business person is the consumer is that's what's so different about America. It's a very diversified economy, it's a very diversified mindset with individuals here. I want to talk about startups. There's a lot of people out there right now that are sitting on a startup, they have a great idea, they've got a great product, all they're missing maybe is some sourcing options. How did you start?
So how I started was I had an idea for a product, and, you know, with that idea, I was trying to find somebody who can make it for me. That's kind of where I started. Who can make this for me? And I start Googling, and I ran across Alibaba. And I tried it out, and I start typing in what I was looking for, and I ended up finding something very close of what I was looking at. And so I'm like, well, if they can make this, they could definitely make what I'm looking for. So I reached out, and I start, corresponding them through email, but Alibaba's evolved to chat and everything else now that I utilize. And I start growing my business from there.
But that's scary though, isn't it? I mean, talking to somebody that you've never met, you might not ever meet face to face, you're emailing, that time zone difference, 16, 17 hour time zone difference. That's scary, and that can be intimidating, and that can be a wall that people put up as an individual that say, I'm not willing to go past that. I'm not willing to get on WeChat. I'm not willing to get on email and talk to somebody that I just don't know. How did you overcome that?
Well, anybody knows, like, as an entrepreneur, you got to take risk. And, great reward comes great risk. And I had to take that leap of faith. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's just not for everybody. I know that nowadays it's popularized. It's a trendy thing to be as an entrepreneur, but everybody's not built for it. And it's okay that everybody's not built for it. But the thing is, Alibaba has now made it to where it's easy, not as it is really just easy to do, because entrepreneurship is not easy to do, but they made it easier for you to really take that leap of faith, because now it's a chat, now it's video calls, now you can actually take a virtual tour in a factory and get a better feel of what's going on.
You talk about risk. One thing that has made that risk less scary, trade assurance. Trade assurance is huge. It's a game changer. It's
Absolutely.
taking the risk away from the buyer and really creating that relationship between the buyer and the supplier. Now, I can talk about it all day long, but I want you to talk to the people that are at home, and I want you to tell them from a buyer's perspective, just a regular person that has grown with Alibaba, what do you feel about trade assurance?
Trade assurance. You know what? Alibaba has done a very, very phenomenal and great thing with trade assurance. I mean, think about it. Before 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even doing business in the United States, everything was done with a contract. And even if it was back in the day of the handshake, it was considered a contract. But we're not able to do that when we're talking about crossing, international borders. We can't do that handshake. So Alibaba has taken the proverbial handshake and brought it onto a digital platform and allow, somebody in another country to shake hands with me to make a deal and put that comfort in pretty much in your heart that, hey, I can get this deal done and I'm not going to lose.
Yeah.
Trade insurance is a trust platform. It's allowing you to trust them and is allowing them to trust you. Because just as much as we think about not trusting the person who we're sending money to, these people are running businesses. They have large factories. Why should they do business with you?
Yeah, that's a great point. I really like trade insurance. I really like chatting with people that don't know about trade insurance, and all of a sudden that wall comes down. They're like, oh, and the conversation changes immediately. Now they want to know more. Now they want to dive into the website. Now they want to know what that platform can do for them. And it's just getting them to understand what Alibaba, what the capabilities are. You've started, as you're a consultant for many different companies out there. You have your own brand, apparel brand. You have watches.
Yes.
Talk about that. I want you to brag about yourself because, first off, you have a great entrepreneurial mindset. You're driven. But you couldn't have done it really without Alibaba, without that relationship with the suppliers that are overseas, without taking that risk. How different would it have been?
Oh, it probably wouldn't have been non-existent. A lot of industries, definitely the watch industry, completely disappeared out of the United States. It was literally bought up by the Swiss industry. It literally, United States, dominated in the watch industry. Most people don't know. Most of the major watch companies started in the United States. But then a lot of the Swiss companies came in and bought those companies out. And so leaving manufacturing in the watch industry in the United States non-existent. But China adopted that watch industry, grew, and some people didn't believe it. But now China is competing with the Swiss. Some of their movements are just as good, if not better than what the Swiss make now. And so, being able to use Alibaba to get access to that has been an indispensable resource. I wouldn't have been able to start the watch company that I have today without Alibaba and with the trade insurance. Because in the watch industry, you're dealing with large numbers. Manufacturing a watch is not cheap. It's not for the faint of heart. But having the Alibaba trade insurance gives me the comfort and the peace of mind that I'm working with the right person, and that when I'm sending large sums of money overseas, I know that I'm going to get my product.
So for the individuals that are sitting out there right now in their garage, maybe they have a small little office in their building and they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job doing it. What would you tell them to help them? Not just about the trade assurance, not about Alibaba, maybe just a mindset, maybe something that they can tell themselves. What would you tell that entrepreneur that has the capability, they just haven't had the opportunity?
It's not about the barrier of entry, it's about a barrier to scale. It's easy to get in any industry nowadays. The problem that we're having is scalability. And one thing that Alibaba, the platform itself, some of the new products and services they're starting to offer, has addressed the issue of scaling. And so now startups and new companies, when you're starting a new product, now you don't have to concern about yourself about, can I scale this? Can I get more product? Can I get more product reliably? Now that's becoming less of an issue.
Well, one more thing before I let you go. The apparel industry is a very competitive industry. We've seen where apparel is at, where it was, where it's at. Where do you feel like the apparel industry, the fashion industry is going from your point of view? What can we expect? What do you think?
Digital.
Digital.
Completely digital. One thing I like to say is soon your competitor is going to be a 6-year-old in their parents' living room.
In many industries, it's already like that.
Right. and it's because so many things are becoming digital, automated. And when I mean automated, I'm talking about artificial intelligence. So now you don't have to constantly monitor and be technically savvy. Now you have the AI making some of those technical choices for you, and you just have to approve that choice. So, you know, the digital revolution has already came. Now it's just literally evolving everything that it touches. Big data, blockchain, AI, these are all things that Alibaba is looking into and integrating into their platform, but these are the things that are changing how we are considering how we are buying, selling, and even just doing business overseas.
Cal, thank you very much. You heard it from a consultant right there. Not only an Alibaba user, but he's an Alibaba buyer right there. And it's just like you. Again, somebody that you can relate to. You could hear it from me all day long, but you hear it from somebody like Cal. It's really, it's nice to hear, I'm sure. Well, we've got a whole lot more coming your way throughout Magic 2018, only from Alibaba.com.